have a second channel if you guys want to watch me just playing video games. Otherwise, I'll see you later. Hey guys, it's the Gundam Boy, and today we're going to be bursting viciously into flames because today we're going to be taking a look at the DE Circle. So, let's get straight into it. So, if you want to light yourself on fire, you can get this weapon from the Servants of Freedom Warbond on the first page, which means you can hurt yourself sooner. Taking a look at the stats, we can see that it has a damage of 55, a fire limit of 15, a recoil of 2, and a fire rate of 700. Its weapon traits is that it's light armor pen, medium armor pen, heavy armor pen, and it has a heat mechanic. But if you're a long-time viewer of my channel, then you know that there's more stats to this, because otherwise most people probably assume this weapon only does 55 damage, and the weapon description doesn't exactly give you an idea of how much more damage, but let's take a look at it anyway. So, its first phase of this weapon has only 55 damage and a durable damage of 5. While this may be low, you have to keep in mind this is only in the first stage of the gun. Now that it's building up heat around 26 to 50%, it's now doing medium pen damage, but its damage stays relatively the same. It's around 51 to 90% of its heat buildup. You'll see the gun get 70 damage and a durable damage of 7 while being medium pen, while the 91% and above for this gun only acquires heavy pen, no damage change. It's not a lot of customization. Greedy fat bastard took it all. We have a ×2 tube red dot. You have a reflex sight MK2, holographic sight, 1.5 ×2 red dot, an iron sight, and a 4 times combat scope. While that's really cool and all for a weapon like this, you aren't gonna need that sight. Get some eye drops because it's gonna hurt aiming down the sights with this weapon. Take a look at the gun in game, you can see it has literally nothing except for your sight. If it's your first time using this gun, you're gonna fire it for a bit and realize you're starting to take damage. And you can see that damage starts to climb real quickly, which is bad because you haven't even hit the heavy pen mode yet. And you're probably wondering, why did I bring a gun that would hurt me when I'm already gonna be on the battlefield getting hurt by everything else? Which brings me to the first problem people have with this weapon, and it's that you have to build very specifically to utilize this gun. So slap on that fire resist, because you're gonna need it. Because even with light armor fire resist, you can fire the DE Sickle way longer without worrying about having to stim. Even when you max out the heat on the Sickle, it still does less damage with the fire resistant armor. And it doesn't matter if you're in a light armor or in a medium armor set, you'll still burst in the flames at the same time. But if you still want to use the BDSM gun and want to extend your screaming time, equipping Vitality Enhancement as a booster can actually decrease the amount of damage you start taking. More too, you can get Experimental Infusion on your team because that booster is just overall cracked with reducing the damage you take, which will be the flames that you'll be resisting. If you fire the gun without the booster, you'll find that it doesn't take long for you to take damage. But if you have Vitality Enhancement equipped, you can fire the gun all the way to its max heat capacity without taking any damage. And if you want to minimize the amount of damage you take, if you stand up and fire in max heat, you'll take a lot of damage. But if you're laying down, you can actually rapidly put out the fire. It negates the damage you'll be taking, but you are now a stationary Gatling gun of pain. And it doesn't really matter what armor set you wear, but for the sake of testing and proof, I will show you guys anyways. And while you could wear Acclimated or Desert Stormer, they don't nearly provide as much defense against the fire damage, because if you didn't know, 50 and 40 is less than 75. So if you can already tell, this weapon requires a lot of speccing into to really get the most out of it without hurting yourself, which might already be a turn off to some people, but let me just say, when you spec into it properly, you can turn into a devastating Gatling gun of pain and screaming. And if you're lucky enough to have a teammate that stims you, you can fire this gun for a way longer period of time, turning you into an infinite ammo of damage and screaming. So let's take a look at how it fares on every enemy front. Starting with the Illuminate front, since they love to throw endless hordes of Voteless at you, you'll find that this gun can have no problem chaining through them all. What is an infinite amount of Voteless gonna do against an infinite amount of ammo? And while yes, you can shoot every Voteless in the head to finish them off, if you suck at aiming, you can always aim for their feet. Aiming for the legs of every Voteless is actually more effective for taking them down in large groups. All you need to do is get on a knee, and you can see that once you start sweeping this gun, all the Voteless will start falling down. They don't live too long after getting their legs blown off, which allows you to focus the next targets that are still running. And it's not as noticeable when you have your gun in the higher heat levels, because once you're sitting at 70 damage, you really will watch those Voteless pop. And since the gun already is rocking it at medium pen, it means it will over-penetrate Voteless, allowing you to hit targets behind them. So whether you're aiming for the legs or shooting right through them, this gun is doing pretty damn good against them. Going against the Overseer, it can slay them pretty damn well. If you're starting from a cold start, you'll find that you're not going to be able to shoot them in the head, because, you know, light pen. But even if your gun hasn't warmed up all the way yet, landing a bunch of body shots will definitely finish them. Because once your gun has some heat to it, you'll find that it immediately rips them. Counter Overseer, definitely. indefinitely. However, you'll still have to, train your aim against things like elevated overseers. Unironically, the crescent overseer is more likely to screw you over, because crescent overseers can ignore the whole wall in the way and fire directly over with damn good precision. And since you're taking some of your own health to fire and heavy pen, if you're getting constantly pelted and you have no cover, you're screwed. You have a few places you can aim for on the harvester. If he's not looking directly at you, aim for his leg joint, because that's going to be the easiest thing to hit. And if he's looking directly at you, don't be afraid to aim for that eye, because you have a lot of ammo to throw directly at it, because the eye has only 350 health and it's light pen. Just don't forget its giant spread, because this gun will have a hard time aiming for precise spots at far distances. But what does it matter to you? You have infinite ammo. Going up against the flesh mob, I'm just gonna have to say it. It's a big fat no. Even though when I tested it the first time, I killed him, well, relatively quickly for any kind of weapon going up against a meatball. Even starting the gun up from a cold start, you'll find that it's gonna be a very bad time. Too much focusing and too much being beaten to death. Moving on to the bot front, it will perform just as good and even better in some places. But you'll have to keep in mind more enemies can shoot you now, which means you'll be hitting that stim way more often than you'd think. But this gun will overall mow through hordes of automaton troopers. And be sure to pay attention, because sometimes they'll flank you. And because the automatons have a big weak point called a head, it's really easy to land headshots going up against devastators and berserkers with no problem. And since your health pool is your ammo, it means you have endless attempts to shoot them in the head. And going up against scout striders, you can aim literally anywhere to put it down, killing them even from the faceplate. But do keep in mind, it doesn't overpenetrate. But it'd be a complete waste to only use that heavy pen on things like berserkers and scout striders. You can use the DE circle to take down hulks really quickly to the face. Too bad my aim sucks. I jumped into a eliminate the Hulk mission, and I found that once you get the gun heated up, it is comically easy to kill these guys. But you gotta be very specific about where you're aiming, because if you're aiming at the body segments of a Hulk, you'll be doing way less damage. And please, for the love of God, don't try to kill a War Strider with it, because you'll literally be doing tickle damage against this guy, because the durability on this guy ranges between 100 and 70, and 70's on the grenades. Even if you aim for the hip joint, it's still 80% durable. Weirdly enough, I found that using the longest range scope you get, the 4x scope, was actually pretty damn effective for sniping automatons at range. So maybe I'll take that back. We'll put the scope back on. Allows you to lay down a lot of covering fire, especially when your teammates are getting mowed down by a group of enemies. And finally, we're moving on to the bug front. And since there's so much soft and gooey enemies, it means the DE Sickle has a lot to mow through. It basically handles the same on the illuminate front. A large portion of the bugs on this front do have practically no armor, but the DE Sickle's versatility means that no matter if you get a bile spear or a hunter swarm, you'll be ready for either party. This gun is pretty mindless to use on the bug front, as all the targets just kinda walk right into death. And since this gun can go from light pen all the way to heavy pen, it means you could start off killing the little guys like hunters in the front and start focusing on the bigger units in the back. Even against alpha brood commanders, they're just not a threat against this gun, especially if you already have your gun revving. A warmed up sickle is a good sickle because it'll kill the brood commanders way faster. But unlike the Hulk and the harvester, the charger is actually way harder to kill with this gun. Especially a behemoth charger, because that head is at 100% durable. Basically, you're doing like 3 damage. But if you must kill a charger and it's already attacking you from the front, aim for its leg, because that's like the easiest part for it to break apart, and it is a fatal part of his body if you can get the rest of the damage in. While you can kill a bile titan with it, have you ever tried to kill a cow with a... Hey guys, I'm a little stuck. But that's the end of my video. What do you guys personally think about the DE Sickle? And also a very important thing I need to talk to you guys about. Helldivers right now has been very funky with its performance, and I've been a little iffy about trying to make this video. I'm gonna be real with you, it was really hard to make this video. Lagging, crashing, freezing, everything you can think about was happening while making this recording. I feel like that's why there's less jokes in this video and I can't bring myself to say anything funny because I'm just kind of getting annoyed looking at this. But definitely check out my second channel, subscribe to it. I'm gonna play different games there and get more content out because, whew, boy, Helldivers, you are not running good right now.